Before we get into this episode, make sure you're subscribed to our channel. You can hit the notification button so you can get updated weekly on all of our latest content. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, tell us what you want to see next below.
Is society watching too much porn?
Yes.
So why is society watching more porn, and what is it doing? What's the effects on society?
We don't know, right? And it has created a whole army of young men who are porn addicted, mostly caused by being exposed at an age when it gets in so powerfully that it becomes sort of a compulsion. Like 8, 9, 10 years old, kids are being exposed to porn. And not just porn, but, it wasn't like opening a Playboy magazine. It's hardcore stuff. And your brain is not, as we say it shatters the upper limits of the brain's capacity to manage. And it becomes kind of traumatizing. And when things are traumatizing in that critical windows, it becomes a compulsion of preference, something you're sort of attracted to. And then it goes, and it's just more and more and more. Yeah.
So are they seeing sex in a way that sex is not, it's not almost real? It's like acting?
No. They're just selecting the highest level of arousal and reward that the brain can achieve. And it's why it progresses. That's why people get into material that is problematic, because the sort of, what is just sort of overwhelming for the average person becomes sort of bland if they're looking at it all the time, and they need that level. It's like any addiction. It progresses, right? It gets worse with time. And that's how people end up in, crazy, dangerous stuff.
Yeah, it's when we were kids, we're still of that generation where, like, if you were lucky to, if you were lucky to find a magazine in a canyon somewhere,
right. Oh, yeah,
that would be the thing. And if you
Who's finding a magazine in a canyon? I feel like that's a personal story.
Every adolescent male has found a
Playboy
or something either in a trash bin, behind a grocery store, or a canyon something.
Why were they in the canyons? Now that I think about it,
but other guys like you were throwing them out.
That's
there.
right. You're scared to get caught. So you're like, what do? You throw it in the canyon.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, or if you found by chance that this was like, whoa, like a VHS tape from a tape from the 80s or 70s, and it was like not high quality. That was about it. Mm-hmm. But now, I have a friend who's older than us, and he has kids that are getting into their teens, and he was saying the stuff they're exposed to and the stuff they see, the things that he found are so problematic, and it was so aggressive and so far beyond the norm of typical sexual experiences for, anyone really, that it was causing all sorts of issues for that person.
Well, there's a lot of potential corollary issues aside from addiction, right? I think people make a lot of how, as you said, it's unrealistic, and sort of young males are being taught this is what women want. Young females are looking at, whoa, is that what it means to be a female?
Are you seeing different effects on women as opposed to men?
In what sense?
Like,
the answer is yes, but what are you thinking?
With porn.
Yes.
Are you seeing anything with women in porn?
Yes. I'm not quite sure what you're looking for. Men are more prone to the porn addiction. Back to the women in porn. I remember I talked to Stormy Daniels years ago, right now, before she became infamous for the Trump thing. And she was on the radio show. Remember, we used to have Loveline back in the day. And she said, I've been producing and directing porns for a long time now. And she goes, and I completely understand what women want from porn and what men want from porn. Men want to see people having sex. Women want to know why those two people like each other so much that they want to have sex. So there needs to be some sort of story.
Like a story.
Yeah.
What is one uncomfortable truth right now with our society that no one wants to admit?
It depends what day you're talking to me. The part I'm sort of struggling with right now is that people are really detached from reality, that they are living in this world where they're constructing it out of narratives and ideologies and things. And that is really dangerous. If you're not mental health comes from accepting reality in reality's terms, being able to adaptively respond to reality. If you are denying reality, that's a problem. We call that delusionality. In addition, there is, and it's something I've been writing about for years. I wrote a book about it 15 years ago about narcissism and childhood trauma. And I could see it coming. Christopher Lasch saw it coming. You could see, and I saw it. I used to worked in a psychiatric hospital for 30 years. And when I first got there in the 80s, they have these diagnostic sheets, and part of the diagnosis spectrum is the personality disorders you have to fill out when they come in. And back when I got there in like 1984, 85, the personalities that were being represented on the admission sheets were all over the place. All the different kinds of, they're called A, B, and C clusters of personality. And towards the end of the 80s, I started seeing a lot of borderline personality. And as we went into the 90s, only what are called cluster B personality, which are the narcissistic disorders. Everybody, every single patient had a cluster B diagnosis. And I watched it change and I thought, and I was hearing it on the radio. I was hearing all the trauma every night. I was hearing all the compulsions and all the acting out and all the crazy and the drug use. I mean, I watched it kind of happen in real time. Now I forgot what the question was.
Why did that change happen? What was the cause?
The underlying influence is childhood trauma. That kids were physically abused, sexually abused, neglected, ruptured families, adverse childhood experiences. My profession didn't even admit that were called ACS, adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs rather, would necessarily adversely impact people's psyche. It's so crazy. And we know for sure that experiences that happen in childhood have a disproportionate effect on all that is to follow. Okay?
So you are seeing right now one of the problems with society is there's a lot of delusion and detachment.
Delusion and what?
Detachment? Is that the right word?
Detachment from reality, and then also narcissism.
Okay.
And the liability of narcissism, childhood trauma creates narcissism for the most part. I mean, it's not a direct line, but that sort of sets people up for that. And problem with narcissist is and again, I use these terms non-pejoratively. In other words, they're just ways of describing people as far as I'm concerned. But narcissists have liabilities. And the narcissism liability is envy and empathic failure. And so envy and grievance and victim is something very, very common right now, right? I'm envious. That guy, you guys have a great business here. I'm not just jealous, I'm envious. And envy, you have to knock somebody down. It's not just, that makes me jealous, uncomfortable, I'm going to work hard to get what they have. No, I got to destroy them. Fuck those guys. That's envy. And envy is alive and well. And one of the things narcissists do, you look like you're in disbelief what I'm saying, or I'm upsetting you.
No, you're not upsetting me.
It's not low energy as you need for your pregnancy.
No, it's interesting, like to hear this broken down from a behind the scenes perspective.
Yeah. So the other thing that narcissists do is all that narcissistic rage and envy, if they were acting out all the time, it would be hard to go through life. But they can gather together and focus it with other narcissists on one person, and we call that a scapegoat. And so scapegoating has been alive and well. I urge you to look no further than the cancel culture. Yeah. That is all scapegoating mechanism. And it is no different than guillotines in 1789 France. It's the exact same thing. Same grievance, same everything, same delusionality, same mass formation, same mob behavior. Happened in Russia in the beginning of the 20th century, happened in Germany in the middle of the 20th century, and it happened to us. It's happening to us now, and it certainly happened during COVID. So
does it present itself typically in times of strife or stress like COVID?
Well, sure, because that's people get scared, right? Mm-hmm. And then they start going into camps and blaming and becoming more delusional, right? But it is usually the case when you're threatened. Like back to 1789, they had famine. They had real problem. And by the way, the Prussians were coming across the border. I mean, they didn't trust their king. And so, boom, now you have the Jacobins.
So when you say detachment from reality, they're not.
It's a curious word, detachment. I just want to say
or delusion.
Delusionality. A denial of reality.
How do you yourself in your brain diagnose someone with narcissism? What are the layers of the onion? Is there really extreme cases?
Sure. I mean, there's different kinds of narcissism. There's sort of grandiose narcissism, and there's it's the word I'm looking for. They're narcissists that are dangerous to be around. Let's face it. And it can begin to slip into sociopathy, where you really, really don't care about other people's feelings, and other people are just there to be manipulated to serve your needs. Okay, so how do I see it? It can be very hidden. There can be a reverse narcissism. People that have a lot of codependency are sort of narcissistic, right? Even though they're focused on other people, they're really worried about themselves. And so they're sort of coming from the perspective of me. Ultimately, underneath it is a very deep sense of emptiness and shame and an incomplete sense of self. And when people don't get what they need when they're growing up to develop a full sense of self and a sort of a flexible regulatory emotional system, they build something on top of it. And that something is something big that'll help protect them from the world and get from the world what they need. That's narcissism.
So when someone comes to you and you can't really see, how do you uncover it? What are your tricks to uncover it?
When I can't see it, sometimes you won't know unless somebody's, and you don't even know if it's real narcissism or some just narcissistic trait, right? You have to know people for a while. Like in my world, which is addiction, everybody comes in looking like a cluster B, right? No, borderline, mostly sociopath and borderline. And by the time we finish treating them a year later, almost all that goes away. And I never know if it goes away because they have to change in order to survive, or was it really just a manifestation of the addiction, or was it really there in the first place and it was just part of the addiction and the treatment got them through it? I don't know. You don't see it in people normally getting over it without some really big reason.
If they have borderline though, is it and they're an addict? If an addict comes in with borderline, does the borderline go away usually?
Usually, yeah. Not always, but at least the some of the intense features go away for sure. Because they can't survive functioning like that. Their addiction will recur.
What addictions are you seeing right now the most?
The thing that's other than opioids, which is like ridiculous, cannabis has gone way up because of the concentrations of THC in the
because it's gotten so strong,
so addictive now. And I would just say that if you worry you have a problem with weed, if you're doing dabs, you have a problem with weed.
What's a dab?
It's like wax, and they sort of take out a torch and a glass pipe, and they get these high concentrations of the high concentration THC rapidly delivered to the brain.
I notice a lot of people are leaving alcohol behind and switching to weed. Have you noticed that?
I've noticed a lot of people. Joe Rogan just said today, I saw it on something, that he stopped drinking. Yeah, but he didn't say anything about weed, so I figure he's still with the weed.
I don't know what he said about weed. I saw he stopped drinking, but I notice a lot of people are like a
lot of nightclubs are shutting down because the young kids aren't out there popping bottles
like there's
anymore.
not as much alcohol use. Is that?
It seems like it.
Okay.
I know my age group is certainly starting to cut down because it affects you. You know, it's like you can't.
I even smell alcohol. I'm hungover for a week these days. Doesn't stop me though. Still once in a while, not as much.
I can't wait for a freezing cold margarita. I'm going to be honest.
On this,
I get it. Listen,
it's like
it's rare. Though.
I'm ready
it's
for
much rarer these days.
What effects are you seeing from the cell phone on mental health?
Not good.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the disconnect from reality.
Yeah.
I think it's keeping people, they live in a world where they think they understand what's real and what isn't, and they just don't. You know, Corolla, I know you had it here recently, he calls it a zero gravity world where everything just comes to you. You just dash, DoorDash or Amazon, it just all kind of comes magically. Money doesn't exist. Human interaction doesn't exist. I don't have to go to a party and meet people.
People are annoyed with human interaction. It's become an annoyance.
Well, this is another problem you're putting your finger on, which is I'm giving a lecture next week, and it's a very stressful job. This group I'm speaking to is in a very, very stressful career, and they wanted some advice on how to manage all that. And I started doing some research on it, and you go to all the professional societies, and they're like, "Oh, find a quiet place and meditate, and ask for relief, take days off." And I thought, This is nuts. These people. When I was in training, when we felt overwhelmed, we moved in. We pushed because you needed to develop skill and resiliency and the capacity to hand grit. And so I decided I'm gonna I'm gonna go through all the safe space stuff for the group, and then just go, hey, you know what? It's all BS.
Well, you
need to expose yourself. Exposure therapy is what we do in mental health now. How do you treat OCD and anxiety? Exposure. Lean in. You have to do it in a certain way, in certain doses, and people gain the capacity to regulate in the setting of exposure. Not when you isolate them, when you remove them from the stimulus, they can never ever manage it.
I worry about this, and I wonder if maybe you and your wife worry about this too. I work a lot on my phone. It's a lot of people do. I worry about the effects that it has on children. If I don't ever want my children to feel like they're being dismissed by me or Michael. What is your take on that?
So I think the important thing, the television did the same thing, right? And work does the same thing too. So the important thing is to know what kids need, right? So what kids need is many, many, many thousands of hours of face-to-face contact where you're totally available and attuned to them. And by attuned, you have to, the way the brain, you come in with your genetic endowment, right? And we end up developing attachment, and attachment is sort of the modifier of the relationship between the environment and the genetics, right? If you're securely attached, even if you have some genetic liabilities, that secure attachment will help you build an emotional landscape of regulation. So emotional regulation and self are the two goals, right? This is what kids need. And in order to build that emotional regulation, what they need is many, many thousands of hours of attunement, like you just going, just looking and you do when they're a baby all the time. That needs to be done throughout childhood. And then somewhere 4, 5, 6, they start moving out into the world and then coming back for refueling with you. And the refueling has to be done, right face to face, eye to eye, where you're opening yourself to that child. If you misread the emotions, right, the child doesn't make a robust connection between their spontaneous emotions and what we call second order representation. It turns out what we reflect on our face has a lot to do with what the child needs to build that emotional landscape. So, for instance, if one of your kids comes up to you, they're 3 years old, I hurt my finger, what do you do? What do you kiss it?
I put my phone down if I'm on it.
Yes, hopefully. What you do is something that happens sort of automatically.
Okay.
Is first you go, you have a boo-boo, right? Okay. You do a pretend expression on your face of that child's emotion. Okay. You're not overtaken by the child's emotion. Oh my God, you're always hurting yourself. That child is not getting what he or she needs. You're like, that sadness that you're feeling, I'm reflecting on your face. Mirroring it, but I'm not catching it. Okay. It's not overtaking me, and I'm not having my own reaction to it. I'm just staying present and calm as the child's emotions come at me. I reflect it back. I give the child maybe some soothing affects alongside of that. And that exchange is how the child comes to understand their own emotional landscape.
So
it's all done on a very subconscious level. Facial movements and stuff is what the child is zeroing into to connect with those deeper emotional processes.
Which is why you can't have the phone in front of your face because they won't get that.
Exactly.
How did you, as busy as you are, you're such an entrepreneur and you're working, do that with 3 children and create...
Susan, how did I do that? She's here.
How did you guys do that with 3 children to create a secure attachment with all of them?
And I was a workaholic, bad.
So what did you do?
No, we did our best. We did the best we could.
I know, but
thank God, part of my workaholism was so she could stay home and do that. And she was there and a very dedicated mom.
But how did, when you're saying you were a workaholic, how did that, with three triplets, or a set of triplets, how did it transpire? Like, how did you start to notice that it had effect on them? If it did.
My workaholism?
Yeah.
I didn't until years later. One of them brought it up. Like, you were never around. So, yeah.
So what do you do as Dr. Drew? What do you say?
I say, tell me more.
And they just talk to you about it.
Yeah, because you're right.
If you could go back.
We were in survival mode. I don't think I could have done it differently. We were in full survival mode.
I mean, I don't think anyone gives you a handbook on how to manage fame, working, and triplets. It's not.
And a practice of medicine. I mean, I had 3 different medical careers going simultaneously. It's ridiculous.
So if you were to give advice as us with young kids doing what we do on this platform, having our phone around, what would you tell us?
Put your phone down.
Whenever they come in the room, put it down.
Well, okay. So I have a friend that she's a psychologist and a lawyer, and all she does is particularly adolescent girls. And her children, she only allows them, I think, 1 or 2 hours of their own phone time per day, period, end of story, not open for discussion. And I would try to find some structured way of doing something similar with your phone, something structured where you're like, okay, I've got work now, I've got to go do work. It's not that I'm doom scrolling on the phone. It's like, it's work right now, maybe even in front of the computer. So this doesn't have the same sort of impact, the phone itself. But you got to be ready to really fight that fight about the phone. It's really hard.
What I've realized is I have to have such specific, purposeful boundaries around it. Mm-hmm. And if you aren't thoughtful about that, it will run you.
Mm-hmm. That's a great way of saying it.
It's like, there is no phone in my bed. There is no phone when I wake up. There is no phone, when I'm trying to connect with my kids. I really try to be thoughtful, but it is a lot of work.
I know.
Especially when you're a workaholic.
You're a workaholic and you have a digital media company.
Yeah.
It's really wild.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have been in the world of addiction for years. I mean, I believe that this is one of the greatest addictions of our time.
I mean, again, I always worry about us utilizing the construct of addiction as a model, but yes,
is it the same kind of brain patterns or no?
It is. It's just not quite the same. But so the way our brain is constructed, we have a reward apparatus. Mm-hmm. People get all screwed up about dopamine, right? When you get a dopamine surge, you don't feel anything. I'm totally convinced of that, except the urge or the thought or the desire to repeat whatever it was that gave you that dopamine surge. It's a part of the brain. There's two systems in the brain. There's the liking system and the wanting system. Liking is endorphin, weed, opiates, sex, food. Wanting is the part that says that was good for survival. Do that again. You have to do that again to survive. And that's what gets taken over in addiction. You don't even like it anymore, and you're still doing it. Okay? That's what addiction is. In this thing, it's dopamine, but it's not at a level where...
Yeah, I don't want to correlate this to like alcoholism or drug use.
It's a little different. It's the same system, same idea. It's the medial forebrain bundle. It's the shell, the nucleus accumbens. That's where the do it again part of the brain is, and that's what's happening with the phone.
You mentioned opiate addiction. Why is that so high?
Well, it really started back with my profession and the overprescribing of opiates. We're still in the aftermath of all that.
So you think that it's still being overprescribed, though?
No, I think the people that got addicted to opiates are still around from that. And now they're heroin addicts and fentanyl addicts.
When you look back on Celebrity Rehab and all the work you did there, doesn't it make you want to do it again?
I'd love to do it again.
I feel like you need to bring it now.
And there's so many people I'd love to bring in, too. And it would be different. We would do it a little differently. It'd have a whole different emphasis. But VH1 won't even talk about it.
Well, why does it have to be on VH1?
They own it. They own the whole thing.
But why do they not want to talk about it? Who do we got to call over there?
Help me. I don't know.
Why can't you do your own spin on it? Is there a non-compete?
The producer that I did it with has actually tested that, and VH1 has said no.
Okay, well, I'm going to put it out there into the ether that I think that there should be a Celebrity Rehab with a new, fresh spin, like you said, and that VH1 needs to get on it because people want to see celebrities that are dealing with the same problems that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
They want it almost like, I don't want to say normalizes it, but it makes it less taboo.
When was the last season?
No, it's the road in, so people just are interested
that it affects
enough.
Anyone. It doesn't matter how much money you have, how much fame you have.
Correct.
It's addiction is addiction is addiction.
And mental health, any mental health issue, all the same.
What was the year the last season aired of that? When was it? How long has it been?
2009, I think.
Okay,
2010.
Wow.
Who out of all of them,
2010.
who was your favorite person on the whole show?
It's like, who's your favorite child? When you know who I really had deep affection for was Jeff Conway.
Huh. So you really wanted to help him get better.
Yeah. We worked with him for a long time afterwards too, and it was just impossible. And it was because my peers kept giving him meds. They kept even when I take him off everything, his pain would go away. He'd start dancing, feel good. He's a drug addict, so he'd go back and see the pain people, and they'd go, "Why do you listen to these guys? I told you, you're going to need to take this the rest of your life." Eventually died of it.
Is that because celebrities have pull over all these people?
Well, that's a whole other issue, which is that the sort of the Michael Jackson syndrome, right?
Right.
Which is, and I just said it today to somebody. I think I just tweeted about it. Somebody was getting special care. Oh, President Trump got a CT of the chest, and Nicole Sapphire and I were speculating on X. Why did he get a CT of the chest? You pretty much, it was a coronary calcium score, maybe, but you CT of the chest if there's a smoking history, and sometimes people advocate for it in their 70s. Anyway, we were just sort of going back and forth about it, and I finally said, look, special care is usually not good care. Because the standard care is a standard for a reason. If you're getting somebody going, I'm going to give you special care, or let's say I'm so excited that you come to me, it's not good. I'm not going to be using my judgment properly. And if that person is an addict, what they do is, and I've seen this a million times, the doctor gets sucked into it, ends up prescribing something addictive. The patient says, I've never felt so good. No one else would do this for me. You're the best doctor I ever had.
Doctor starts feeling good.
They get strung out. Doctor realizes there's a problem, says, hey, we got to stop this. Then the patient goes, I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to make sure no one ever sees you. You're the worst doctor ever. And they're just in this weird, and Conrad Murray got stuck in that with Michael Jackson, right? Only you can treat me. Only you. And then he's in there going, what? A propofol infusion? Oh my God. It's crazy.
Lauren and I talk about some heavy topics on this podcast. I know we're always out there talking to different people in alternative health, talking about the things that are affecting our overall health and well-being, like our environments. And listen, many are becoming aware that we live in an environment our biology was never designed for. In addition to talking about those things, we also like to be a resource for people to combat the everyday stressors, which is why Lauren and I love talking about products like Armor Colostrum. Ever since we had the founder of Armor on this podcast, we have been huge fans of the product. We take it in the morning, our kids take it, our dogs take it. You can take it in these single serving packs. They come in these jugs, and you can have it in a drink, or you could just take it right in powder form. And here's the thing, many of these modern assaults are disrupting cellular signaling, negatively impacting gut health and accelerating aging. Armor Colostrum revives cellular signaling, bolstering our health from within to defend against everyday threats. Colostrum is nature's first whole food with over 400 bioactive nutrients that work at the cellular level to reactivate your body's innate capacity to regenerate and thrive. So if you're interested in strengthening your immune system, fortifying your gut health, igniting your metabolism, revitalizing hair growth, enhancing skin radiance, or fueling performance and recovery, Armor can help you do so. So check them out. We've worked out a special offer for our audience. Receive 15% off your first order. Go to tryarmor.com/skinny or enter skinny to get 15% off your first order. That's TRYARMRA.com/skinny. We spend a ton of time on this show talking about how to get the proper nutrients, supplements, how to take care of ourselves, how to be healthy. But let's not forget the children in our lives. This is why Lauren and I love talking about Hiya Health. Typical children's vitamins are basically candy in disguise, filled with 2 teaspoons of sugar, unhealthy chemicals, and other gummy additives growing kids should never eat. That's why Hiya created a superpowered chewable vitamin that kids love. I know our children love it. They wake up every single morning and ask for it. It's become part of their habit, part of their routine. We take our supplements together as a family. We're all about encouraging healthy habits for the long term, and Hiya helps us as a family do so. Are you tired of battling with your kids to eat their greens? Hiya now has a Kids Daily Greens Plus Superfoods, a chocolate-flavored greens powder designed specifically for kids, packed with 55-plus whole food ingredients to support brain power, development, and digestion. Just 1 scoop, shake, and sip with milk or any non-dairy beverage for a delicious and nutritious boost your kids will actually enjoy. So make sure to check that out. In addition to all that, the same multivitamin that more than 1 million kids and parents love are now available with Disney's The Lion King, with a new Lion King unboxing experience, including Lion King bottle and Lion King stickers. And of course, we've worked out a special deal with Hiya for their best-selling children's vitamin. Receive 50% off your first order. To claim this deal, you must go to hiyahealth.com/skinny. This deal is not available on their regular website. Go to hiyahealth.com/skinny and get your kids the full body nourishment they need to grow into healthy adults.
I see so many people so focused on creams and lotions and masks, and they're still experiencing things with skincare like blemishes or clogged pores. And I always ask them, have you purified and checked the water that you're showering in and washing your face in? So enter Jolie. Jolie is a beauty wellness company that purifies the water that we shower in for better skin, hair, and overall well-being. So they have a filtered shower head. It's the best in class for removing chlorine and heavy metals. And it's the only lab-tested and clinically trialed filtered shower head on the market. Here is some crazy facts. It's clinically proven to reduce hair shedding in 81% of people. It also helps you maintain your color, which is a big deal for me because I dye my hair. And it helps to reduce hair frizziness by 40%. So chlorine's added to our water system to disinfect it and kill bacteria, but chlorine's damaging to the hair and skin. And Jolie fixes this. They have a beautiful, sleek design. It's really pretty. It's the perfect combination of form and function. You should also know, this is important, that it gives you strong water pressure. So you're not going to get like a couple drips. Jolie will give you your best skin and hair guaranteed. Head to jolieskinco.com/skinny to try it out for yourself with free shipping. And if you guys don't like it, you can return your Jolie for a full refund within 60 days. No questions asked. Let's talk about relationships. Last time you were on the show, Something that really resonated with people, and I remember you said this, is you said open relationships, you've never seen them work in your whole entire career.
Never.
Is your stance still the same?
It's certainly being tried more often. This is back to that world of delusionality where it should work. So should communism.
Right.
There's lots of things should work.
So Taylor, sorry, I can't do an open relationship with you. It's not going to work, Taylor.
They just don't, the human can't handle it. Just consider this. There are armies of professionals trying to help two people have a relationship. You think bringing a third person in is going to make that easier or better? No. If people want to do it, I have no objection to it. It just look at the shows, all the shows with the sister wives and stuff, how miserable everybody is. Everybody ends up miserable, especially the women. Especially the women end up just so miserable. And it's not, intimacy is, we're set up so it's between two people. It's just how we're set up. And if we're different, I would encourage having lots of people involved with it. It just isn't. It's just how we are as humans.
When you counsel couples, what's the main thing that you see in the relationship?
From what perspective?
Yeah, I'm dealing with addiction when I do it, so it's all over the place.
So with addiction, there's a different element of it, is what you're saying.
There's the hardest part in addiction is to get the non-addict to realize they've got a lot of work to do too. A lot.
Talk about that.
This codependency, and some people actually think that's harder than the addiction. It's a more tender, delicate kind of a work that people have to do. Do you like
Al-Anon for that or no?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You do.
The co-programs are essential. They're not, to me 12-step isn't the whole story for anything, but it is an essential story in all of it.
At this point in your career, when you work with addiction, is it one-on-one? Is it group? How are you working day to day?
I'm not day to day. I'm just doing general medicine.
Medicine.
Every other day somebody calls me with a consult on addiction, and I do a lot of referral and help and guidance and that kind of thing. I'm not running a program anymore. It was too much. And I got out really because of the overprescribing of opiates. I got so sick and tired of my peers killing my patients. It was over and over and over again. It was awful.
So they were just overprescribing every time your patients would go to them, and then you were trying to manage the addiction, and they would just keep overprescribing. So it was counteractive.
Just prescribing it all. I mean, just the fact that they would prescribe them opiates, and the whole thing would take off again.
That's so frustrating.
Yeah, it was terrible. And then they die. And people go, oh, so you're very successful treating opiate addiction. We were very successful when the patient didn't go back to the opiate prescriber, which they're drug addicts, they do. I understand that. But the doctor should have been holding that line, sending it back to us, not saying to the patient, why do you listen to those guys? I told you have to take this forever. You have an opiate deficiency, essentially. People have not been talking about how much my profession was responsible. They want to blame the Sackler family and OxyContin. Yeah, duplicitous. It was my profession. Did the whole thing. Both also in 1890, we had our first opiate prescribing epidemic. In 1890 is when we invented the hypodermic needle, morphine sulfate, massive opiate overprescribing, Harrison Narcotic Act. Doctors turned away from opiates for 50 years. Then we started having the sort of success treating cancer, and patients were living with cancer and starting to have cancer pain because they were living longer with cancer. And a group of doctors came in and said, you should be using opiates. And everyone was like, oh, we don't prescribe. Okay, opiates are addictive. Be careful. And they ended up using them successfully and appropriately to treat cancer pain. Then they looked around and went, nobody should ever have any pain ever. Pain is what the patient says it is. Pain control is what the patient says it is. Let them have whatever they want. And that was essentially how the thing got rolling. Then same thing as COVID. Mm-hmm. It was the exact same thing. Is then they got the regulatory agencies involved. They got the governments involved. They got the VA involved. They got the departments of mental health and the hospital administrators. You have to prescribe opiates. And if you don't, you're committing a crime. Sound familiar?
I have rapid fire questions. Right. Most ridiculous health trend you've seen lately?
It's a lot.
Let it rip.
There's just so many odd things that people are talking about. Hold on. There's just so many weird things.
I got a salmon semen facial before I was pregnant.
It's not salmon, it's exosomes.
Salmon semen.
Exosomes are good.
Exosomes.
I'm sighing because I have a hobby of listening to French radio in the morning and stuff, and I just
love that.
It's just a weird hobby.
You speak fluent French? That's interesting.
Pretty good.
That's cool.
And I heard a guy say this morning, he was a physician, and he goes, look, I'm not an expert in health. I'm an expert in disease, and I'm too busy doing that. And I thought, oh God, people need to understand that as physicians, this is exactly right. We are not health experts, and I don't even know who the health expert is right now. I just know that we're not doing a great job as physicians.
We had our friend Darshan come on who has Next Health here, and
we know them.
You know them.
It's great.
And he's
great. He's and amazing. I love his story. He was a cancer surgeon to begin with, and he was like, I can't stand this anymore.
Yeah, he did all the surgeries, but he was saying that he himself, for his own personal health, had none of the answers for himself, and he got super unhealthy, and he had to go to other people that had those answers, and he was a medically trained doctor, surgeon, all the things.
But we aren't health experts. We have to make ourselves, and that's why I've gotten more involved in health and exercise and diet and stuff lately. It's because I've done it my whole life for myself and my family. I'm embarrassed that I really haven't done it for my patients or other people. But let me think of weird health trends. Well, I didn't finish the story about the multiple partners thing.
Oh, go ahead, finish that.
Because that that whole thing. People tell me there are people for whom it works. I've just not seen it, and that's fine. Yeah, I'm God bless you if it does work. To me, inevitably. Do you watch 90 Day Fiance?
I've never watched that. Everyone tells me I have to watch it.
Okay, there's one right now where it's like a typical outcome of somebody bringing a third in. It's like this, like that. Oh yeah, that's the way it goes. That's the way it always goes.
Well, men can't multitask to begin with, so a third to me for a man just sounds like a fucking clusterfuck.
Yeah. Yeah. But how about how women feel about each other when they're vying for the same male?
They don't feel good, I don't think.
There's stuff that comes out that you can't control.
Everyone wants to be the unicorn, Dr. Drew.
You can't control it, yeah.
And they want to be the unicorn.
But this is back to my saying, you got to be realistic about the human experience, what we are, how we behave, how we react. It's good. It's all good. We're good the way we are. But we don't have to make ourselves into something that we're not.
Because listen, Lauren, like every guy has their favorite pair of pants. And I think about it, like if you had two girls, it's like you're always going to, one's going to over time. Does that make sense to you?
I do think it would be nice from a perspective where I could offset some of his energy onto someone else. Like,
yes.
That would be like...
Women do say things like that.
Yeah, like he's chatty Cathy in the morning. I could be like, listen, Sarah can take him.
But what if Sarah is tired of it too that time? Then it's like, Lauren, it's a big problem. We can try it. You want to? Who you got in mind?
I don't know. Let's bring Brad Pitt and see.
Listen, he's good looking enough that I might say yes. I don't know.
Wow. Okay. Best celebrity advice you ever gave that actually worked.
Celebrity advice I gave that actually, you're asking me things that are sort of across so many years.
Mean?
I have to come up with these things from out of my playbook.
This is what the audience wants.
Okay. Best celebrity advice.
Like to a celebrity?
How to deal with celebrity fame.
I was going to say the best at, or
it could be your interpretation. It depends.
What kind of question is this?
No, this is a good one. This is actually, I've got
it's a good one, Michael.
This is somebody, this is a big movie star who had real trouble with addiction, and he dropped away for a while. You can speculate about who I'm talking about. He went away he had really bad addiction, and he went away. I worked with him a little bit, and when he finally got serious and just went away for like 3 years, and at the end of that 3 years, I saw him and he goes, "Should I ever act again?" And I thought, oh, that's a heavy, heavy question, both because he's a brilliant actor. And it's like, I'd be taking that away from him and from us. And I just said, I don't know. I'm not sure. I said, oh no, you're going to return to acting. I did not say that. I said, well, let's just see how it goes. Let's see. And I worked with him very little bit when he went back into acting, where he just stayed connected with all of his sober support. And he started doing small things and then more things and then more things, then back to the huge career again, and was fine and still sober. And that to me was one of the most thrilling examples of how you're supposed to do it.
That's cool that you helped him.
Yeah.
That's cool that you're a part of that.
I was and when I'd say, I don't even know if he would remember it, to tell you the truth. It was such a tiny piece, but it jumped out at me like he's asking me a heavy question.
Yeah.
And then the little bits of help that I did do after that, he just responded to all of it. He was ready. Is ready to do the work.
What's one thing people would be shocked to learn about you? Something that people don't know about you.
That I have all the same things that everybody else has. Everything, you name it, I got it. I have codependency, I have depression, I have anxiety disorder. I was really bad in college.
So what did you do knowing everything you knew when you
don't even start me. One of the reasons I got into all this is because what was done to me. So here I am in college, in New England, sort of didn't know I was going to be living in New England. It was sort of getting my ass kicked academically. I got lost in terms of what I wanted to do with my life. I developed panic attacks. I mean, disabling panic attacks. And I remember I went to the student health thing. No. I went first to the mental health, the psychological services, which were not connected to the health department of the student services. It was in the bell tower. It was actually bats in the belfry. It was actually the psychological service was in the freaking bell tower.
Quasimodo and all.
I know. And I went up there and they went, yes, this is not a medical problem, but it could be. So go get down and get a medical evaluation. And as I went down and got a medical evaluation, the guy looks at me and he goes, get it together. Take some long walks in the woods. And I was like, God, I would if that would. I've tried was
that my dad?
I know, right? Exactly. And I thought, and I got into disabling, horrible, chronic panic and depression because they so badly mismanaged me. And I just thought, first of all, I thought somebody needs to be trained in what it is to give healthcare to a young person, to an adolescent. There was no adolescent healthcare then, and I thought that's missing. Secondly, I'm kind of interested in depression and anxiety, and I want to make sure no one ever goes through what I went through. And so I kind of, I was into neuroscience in college, and so I sort of going that path. But I was so badly mismanaged. Ugh.
So it gave you help on how to manage people moving forward.
It didn't. It gave me perspective on how not to manage people, and something I never want anybody to go through. What I went through. It was just.
That's interesting. I think a lot of people, including us, would be shocked to realize that about you. Do you still have to deal with those issues today, or you've gotten so many tools? I do. I'm prone to depression. It's kind of where my workaholism comes in, because I've noticed when I don't work a lot, my mood goes off a little bit. Yeah. You just get like a little blue and you catch it?
Just a little. I have to go exercise or something because it just gets a little sideways. And I'm like, but because I always have still a lot of work. I'm coming to see you guys. I'm doing something interesting, but I need that arousal. It worries me for when I get much older and not doing much.
How does that work with your wife? How do you guys...
How's that work? We work together. Right now we're working together.
Are you a workaholic like him?
He's making me a workaholic.
Oh, it's always the husband. They always do it wrong.
I like him when he's at work.
You do?
Yes.
Because it exhausts his energy.
He's happy.
I'm better, yeah.
So when he gets in a bad mood, do you say like, go work, get out of my hair?
Yeah, I had to tell you something this morning that I just didn't. It's weird that we've known each other for so long, but she doesn't get it. It takes me I wake up with a shitload of energy in the morning. That's there, so I think she's used to that. But I was like, it takes me a second to get my mood in a place where I'm.
This is the trick to waking up in the morning.
Not sad, but I need a little moment to see the butterflies and the birds.
I had the No, you have to. When you wake up, and Dr. Drew can speak more eloquently on this, but everyone is looking for the saber-toothed tiger the second you open your eyes. This is my thought. So
this is about me?
No, it's about everyone.
Oh.
So when I open my eyes, instead of looking for the saber-toothed tiger, I've immediately tricked my brain to look at what I'm grateful for. That little unlock. No, the second you're like.
I don't think it's that.
I lately have been doing gratitude lists too.
You just switch your brain instead of being like, I have such a busy day. I'm so busy today. I say, wow, I get to interview Dr. Drew.
I'm the opposite. I look for the saber-toothed tiger right before bed, then I can calm it down and get rid of it. But when I wake up, I'm really not like that.
My favorite thing about my husband is he wants to have a whole saber-toothed tiger conversation when I have fucking mouth tape on at night, winding down in my sanctuary with red light and 528 hertz frequencies on.
And then after I get it out, I sleep like a baby.
Remember she asked about weird health things? Yeah. I was thinking about red lights. I was thinking about red lights, just so you know. But okay, keep going.
No, but
that's one of the things that didn't seem dramatic enough.
I have a moment to get my, that scene in Cinderella where all the birds are chirping and she's singing. I need 30 minutes to get to that place. When I first wake up, I'm like, I'm not there yet.
And we'll all sleep the extra 30 minutes that you need to get there. And when I'm awake, hopefully
I'm awake before.
We had an expert come on the podcast and talk all about the benefits of fasting, and it was absolutely fascinating. I have done a fast 3 times. I've used the Prolon, and it's amazing. It's the 5-day program. And what I noticed is I just looked physically my best before going on vacation, but also I just felt good after the fast. I didn't feel hungry the whole time. I think it's the only nutrition program that really works because it's backed by Nobel winning science. So if you're going to look into a fast, that's the one that I can say I've done, I've tried, I loved. And fasting isn't just about shedding weight. It's about recalibrating your system and setting your health journey up for success. The one that I did specifically all 3 times was Prolon's 5-day program. And it's a fasting mimicking diet that allows you to eat during the fast. So your body's staying nourished while getting the benefits of a traditional prolonged water fast. If you haven't listened to that episode, go check it out. You'll love it. To help you kickstart a health plan that truly works, Prolon is offering the Him and Her Show listeners 15% off site-wide plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe to their 5-day nutrition program. Just visit prolonlife.com/skinny. That's PROLONLIFE.com/skinny to claim your 15% discount and your bonus gift. prolonlife.com/skinny. I don't mess around when it comes to stretch marks on my stomach. I like to use one product and one product only, and that is by Osea, their best-selling algae body oil. Oh, it's so good. The texture, the feel, what it does for your skin. I had the opportunity of learning all about algae and the benefits of algae. And if you want sculpted, silky, soft, glowing skin, you have to check them out. So I have not had stretch marks. And I think a big part of that is I am militant about putting oil on my stomach. I've had other things like hyperpigmentation and cellulite, but I have not had stretch marks. So I take this very seriously. The one by Osea is clean, it's vegan, it's cruelty-free, it's born in California, it's mother-daughter founded, and it has algae in it. It's their #1 best-selling product. So how I use it is 2 ways. I'll put it all over my stomach after a shower, or I also, and don't sleep on this, will use my dry brush. I'll use the Skinny Confidential dry brush before I get in the shower, and then I will get in like a cold shower, not too cold because I am obviously pregnant and it's kind of jarring right now. I'll get out and then I'll put it all over the backs of my legs and use the Skinny Confidential Body Sculptor on the back of my legs to break up the cellulite. These 2 products together, you can't go wrong. Rich, it's never greasy and clinically proven to instantly improve skin elasticity. It visibly firms and makes skin feel more sculpted and toned. Get healthy glowing skin for summer with clean vegan face and body care from Osea. Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code SKINNY at oseamalibu.com. You'll get free samples with every order and free shipping on orders over $60. Head to oseamalibu.com and use code SKINNY for 10% off.
With more and more information, more people these days are looking for alternatives in their social lives when they're going out and thinking about doing something other than drinking alcohol. This is why I'm excited to talk about Nowadays. Founded in 2023, Nowadays was created to put a new spin on drinking. The brand was born from the desire to change the future of how we consume beverages, offering an easy entry point to cannabis that can be enjoyed just like alcohol. So like I said, Nowadays is a cannabis-infused beverage brand designed to deliver a light, buzzy experience without the hangover. Nobody needs another hangover. They are the worst. And Nowadays, cannabis-infused spirits are the perfect base for your favorite cocktail and come in bottles with 3 variants: microdose, which is 2 milligrams, low dose, which is 5 milligrams, and high dose, which is 10 milligrams, all with a crisp, light, and citrus flavor. And additionally, Nowadays has recently launched their canned cocktails, which are 12-ounce cans of 5 milligrams of THC and 16 ounces of 10 milligrams of THC. These ready-to-drink beverages come in 4 flavors: tropical, spicy lime, citrus, and berry, and each can contains only 4 grams of sugar. You can expect a gentle lift within the first 10 to 20 minutes, followed by a social buzz in the next 20 to 40 minutes, and then a smooth transition or subtle decline in your buzz by the next 45 to 60 minutes. Of course, Nowadays ensures quality. The THC is responsibly sourced, and every product is proudly made in the USA for a controllable and enjoyable experience. So for good nights and even better mornings, Nowadays is easy to purchase with direct-to-door delivery. You must be 21 to order at nowadays.com. And of course, we've got an offer. Visit trynowadays.com and use code SKINNY at checkout for 20% off your first purchase. That's trynowadays.com and use code SKINNY for 20% off your first order.
Let's talk about my favorite female-run nonprofit. I'm so passionate about the charity I Stand With My Pack. It's dedicated to saving animals and preventing cruelty locally and globally. So I was introduced to this charity by a friend of mine, Lucy, probably about 5 years ago. And she was really passionate about how much that I Stand With My Pack helps dogs. So what they do is they rescue dogs from high kill shelters in Southern California, and they help them find loving foster homes or forever homes. There is an urgent need right now for donations and fosters. So even if you can donate $1, every dollar counts. This goes to helping to cover medical care, food, transportation for rescue dogs. You can donate or sign up to foster at istandwithmypack.org. That's istandwithmypack.org. I also sometimes will just Venmo them. It makes it really simple. More information at istandwithmypack.org.
This is the last question. It's really uplifting. What defines a sociopath? Let me ask it again. What defines a sociopath? You mentioned that at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, and you almost said psychopath, right?
Which is a different thing.
And people are, it's a controversial difference.
Okay.
Personally, I believe psychopaths don't have emotions. They literally, that part of their brain where emotions occur doesn't function normally. Do you ever see the lectures by a guy named James Fallon? He was a UC Irvine professor who was studying psychopaths. And he'd isolated the part of the brain, he did functional MRIs, and he had the part of the brain where it wasn't working. And he said he got his families to come in and do a bunch of controls. And his control sat on his desk for a long time. And finally his research assistant says, you got to get these things off your desk. Just read them. So he read them. He goes, oh, one of the psychopaths got in on the pile. Whose is this? And it opens it up. It's his. It's the researcher. It's Dr. Fallon's. And he was in disbelief about it and must be a mistake. Turns out he's a psychopath. And he went and talked to his family members, and they were all like, "Oh yeah, you're an asshole, and you don't really have feelings." And it turned out he had a flavor of psychopathy where he particularly didn't have feelings about family members. And when he went back in generations, there'd been multiple murders of family members, all the way back to his relative Lizzie Borden.
Oh whoa!
Who was a famous murderer of her family, and. Yeah.
So it can be genetic?
It is genetic. It is psychopathy. Okay.
Huh.
And psychopaths that get like abused in childhood, those are the dangerous ones because now they're acting out all this aggression and compulsions.
And that's like the boy that like tries to kill like a dog or something.
Yeah. Well, yes. That's
so there's
the signs of
sociopath and psycho.
Sociopath is more in the cluster B personality, though some people might say that a severe sociopath is a psychopath. To me, because I treat so many sociopaths, they are a certain thing. They can be very charming, very entertaining, great to be around. So psychopaths have to learn what emotions are and just behave as if they're emotions. And if you're carefully tuned into them, it feels weird when you're around them. It feels empty and weird. But a sociopath can feel very engaged. They can be fun as hell.
When you say that you treat a bunch of them, are you treating the addiction and that's a byproduct as being a sociopath, or you actually treat just sociopaths without addiction?
I'm only seeing it in the setting of addiction. But both types occur. Okay. Sociopaths get addiction and addiction that manifests with sociopathy. Okay. And hard to tell which is which, to be honest. But in any event, and sociopaths really, when push comes to shove, really don't care about you. You don't matter at all. You just matter what you can do for them.
When it clicks, when someone's like, I don't want to say normal, but not a sociopath, and they have a sociopath around and it clicks that person's a sociopath, what's the best way for the person to disengage?
What I want to say is, if you're going to get away from that person, you got to do it swift and sure.
But what are is there anything like that they say or do that's like a common denominator, or no? I
mean, some sort of what we call pathognomonic, some sort of sign that they say that it's this. No.
It's more like lack of empathy.
You can't rely on them. They manipulate. They get stuff out of you if you regret it, and then they
use it against you.
They use it against you. They just are master manipulators. That's the main thing to think about.
And it's not to be confused with a narcissist.
It can look. There can be a lot of crossovers.
It's hard. It's hard to separate them.
Most are Yes, it is hard. Most are narcissists.
That's hard for you, I'm sure, to like separate. I mean, maybe
I don't really have to, because they're going to change so much in treatment. I don't know what I have.
Right.
I'm agnostic when they come in, because you got to focus on treatment. Let's see where we end up.
I got a weird question. How can you tell if you're a sociopath? If you're someone listening?
It's a really good question.
Michael wants to know if he's a sociopath, Dr. Drew.
So if you find yourself...
More in the psychopath realm.
Yeah, I remember...
Was I abused? I don't know. I'm just kidding.
The abuse for sure can set it up. But
Lauren's abusing me. That's who's abusing me.
Different thing. I remember a couple times on radio, we had young people call in and go, I think I've got a problem. I think there's something that way with me. And I go, well, why? And they go, I don't really care when other people hurt. I don't really have feelings other people are. I see stuff on TV. Other people seem upset. I'm not. And if I want something from somebody, I'll just figure out a way to get it. They're just very cold-blooded, sort of. And so
that's an indication.
Yeah.
But if they're asking that question, is that a front, or it sounds like in a weird way they almost care? Does that make sense? But they care about themselves.
They're worried about themselves. They're
okay.
worried they might hurt somebody. They're worried that they're going to have a challenging life.
Okay, so self-preservation is part of.
But there's something called a pro-social psychopath or sociopath, where they can actually develop an exquisite moral compass. It's because they have no moral sensibilities emotionally. It's a very mathematical thing,
almost like a virtue signal.
No. They mean it. They live by. They know the moralities. They have a sense of it being good. They want to live a good life, and they develop a keen sense of right and wrong. But they don't have a.
It's like the Robin Hood of sociopaths.
Well, do you ever heard of the trolley experiment? Okay, trolley experiment is there's a trolley going down the tracks, and you can pull this switch, and if you do, let's see, how's it work? Yeah, and if you do, you pull the switch, the trolley goes off the track and kills somebody standing on another track, but you save the 5 people in the trolley. Do you pull the switch?
Well, does everyone die?
Yes. No, the one dies. One guy dies, but
if you don't pull it...
No, all 5 definitely going to die.
Well, the right answer is...
who's the one guy?
What does everyone in this room say?
Yes, pull it.
You pull the switch.
You have to pull
Most
it.
people say 95%
okay, I'm like,
of people,
is this a trick question?
No,
I'm pulling the switch.
The trick comes next. The trick comes next. So now, same 5 people are going to the trolley. They're going to die. And you can only stop it by pushing... You're on a bridge now. There's a fat guy with a backpack sitting next to you. You have to push him off the bridge to fall in front of the trolley to save the 5. You're going to push him off the bridge?
Yes.
We got a psychopath in the opposite. He's our producer.
Well, all the 5's going to die, including you.
No, not you. You're on the bridge. You're standing on the bridge. But this big guy next to you, if you push him off the bridge, you'll save the 5. It's the same as pulling the lever, right?
Yeah,
but you have to physically touch him.
It feels
push
different.
Him.
It feels different. That's moral sensibility.
You have
That's
to touch
moral,
him physically.
moral affect, and most people have trouble doing that. Right?
That makes me uncomfortable.
Now let's see what he says about this, because this is what Taylor says when it goes next. So now the guy next to you is your son or your uncle.
Okay.
Do you push him off in front of the train?
I would never push my son off for anything.
Right.
Like, I hate to tell everyone, like, if Michael's on that train, like, bye, Michael.
I think that's a normal mother instinct. It's an interesting wrinkle on the experiment. We can maybe, what does the motherly instinct do to moral sensibilities in extreme circumstances?
Most people
can't do it. Most people cannot put a family member off. Most people can't push the fat guy standing next to them. And but it's just those. But the pro-social psychopath will literally say it's just math. It's just math. I got to save the 5.
So if we just answered that, everyone who's listening would be like, "Fuck! I've been listening to a psychopath for 7 years."
Oh, if you
social sociopath.
It's a pro-social psychopath technically.
Okay.
Pro-social psychopath. No, you're not. You're not a pro-social psychopath.
Okay.
You just are. You're just a. What would
normie?
What would a killer of a husband be? A regicide? What would a husband killer be?
But if anything happens to me, everyone in this room.
A black widow. I would never kill you. That's too on the nose for me. I would do something way more manipulative. Ending on sociopaths.
Let's talk about something fun. Let's do it. Come on.
Killing you is way too easy. Don't worry.
You guys must have something just easy and casual for me to handle.
No. We haven't seen you in a long time.
We haven't seen you in a long time.
I got to get back here sooner.
Anytime you can come on anytime. Where can everyone find what you're working on?
Where I want you to go is Ask Dr. Drew, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 2:00. It is a streaming show. It's on Rumble. It's on YouTube.
You do have an open invite on our show anytime because you are so good on the mic. So just anytime you want to come on, you're welcome.
Well, we could just go on and on and on.
I love hanging out with you guys.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you for coming on.
Great to see you.
Anytime.